Question everything, trust nothing, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Debate Crypto here on Magic Money Monday. Today we're going to do a little different. We're not going to be doing TA today. There's a lot of news that we're going to be covering. I'm finally back. I was gone over the weekend for a short family vacation, but I am back. Keeper, I believe, should be back sometime this week as well. So everything's going to be back on schedule, 3 p.m. Eastern time moving forward, guys. So a lot of things that happened last week, right? The SEC came out cracking down on staking. So we're going to be covering what that means. I know you guys heard about it, but there's a few other details coming out now. And there's some things happening on Twitter that I actually want to cover. Some really good points out there. Some people talking on Twitter about this. And I believe that this definitely has a something to keep an eye on. Let's just keep it at that. Also, Bitcoin Ordinals have been massive last week. Explosive. Right? It is the wild, wild west on Bitcoin NFTs. We're definitely going to be covering that. Is it good? Is it bad? Where do I stand on it? And, what should we expect to see here? And what are some dangers of Bitcoin ordinals and the inscriptions? What does this mean for Bitcoin? And, could this be the disaster that, takes Bitcoin down? So we're going to be covering that as well. We got some other stuff happening with Paxos. We got some stuff happening with Coinbase. But overall, major theory of a massive crash coming in tomorrow on Valentine's Day on the 14th, Tuesday. And we're going to be covering why that is to be seen, why some people are theorizing this. And it's not just anyone. It's Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So make sure you guys stay tuned. We're going to be covering that towards the later part of the video. But let's start off here. Guys, smash the likes if you haven't smashed the likes. Share out the live. Let's get the show rocking and rolling. It's good to be back. Good to see all of you guys here. So let me share my screen here. Let's get rocking and rolling with the market overwatch. As you guys can see, right, market is really not doing much, right? It's been down. It broke below 22,000. It's dropped down to 21.6, right? We're down 6% on the week. We're still up almost 30% on the last 90 days, almost 30% on the last 60 days. I mean, it's just, we had an explosive growth at the beginning of January. So now we're seeing a cool off period. This is to be expected. Bitcoin has dropped back 1,800, right down 10%. And so is everything else. Everything time frame 10 to 5% the last week or so. And this is expected, right? These runs, these massive aggressive movements are not sustainable. So it is not a surprise here that we've seen that we're seeing this now. It's not. So let's move on forward here to the charts and let's see what we're seeing here. Right? With Lux Algo, we can see here that we're been going sideways. Right, the MACD terrible. Right, straight down, nothing but down from here. The EQ cloud still bullish, the trend catcher still bullish, so that is something to look forward to. But is this sustainable in reality? Let's break it down on the 4-hour. The 4-hour tells kind of a different story here, right? If we break it down into the 4-hour, the EQ cloud is bearish, so we're expected to see more bearish sentiment here in the short term, right? In the 4 hours, we did get a kind of take profits on shorts down here, and the MACD for it, is about to look like it's going to cross over into the bearish side of things, right? We're printing our very first red candle here on the MACD, and that could lead that we're going to be going even down lower with the sentiment of Bitcoin, right? Just overall, Bitcoin price has been cooling off. Nothing of surprise here. Like I said, we had very aggressive growth and movement for Bitcoin from 16,000 all the way to 23, almost 24. And now we're seeing a cool off. This is not surprising, guys. This is not surprising at all. But now, moving into our first topic here, PayPal. PayPal has been holding over $500 million in Bitcoin and Ethereum since the last quarter. So let's get into some details about this. What does this mean? This be leading, right? So here we go. As you guys can see here, PayPal held over 500 million in Bitcoin, Ethereum last quarter. As per PayPal's latest financial filings, the payment giant held $291 million in Bitcoin and $250 million in Ethereum. So top two coins, right? that is where the massive wealth is going to be preserved. That is where people hold their uh, wealth, and that's why PayPal is risking. They're mitigating their risk with holding it in the top two. If the top two are doing bad, the rest of the market is going to be slaughter, right? It's going to be a massacre. So, but when the top two they perform and they do very well in the market, they're going to be making a good amount of money. And it's just risk management is what this is, right? These companies are getting into crypto for the first time. They're going to be betting on the top dogs. They're not going to be risking it on these crazy altcoins. So if you were ever bearish on Bitcoin, right, because what we saw in the chart, because we saw Bitcoin coming down, this is an example of why you shouldn't be bearish. These massive companies, with many others, right? Because PayPal right now, this is just one example, have been and will continue to be accumulating Bitcoin, accumulating Ethereum, and long term, this is where the money is going, right? There's massive things happening with the Bitcoin network. Talked about Bitcoin Ordinals. We're going to be covering that here pretty soon. But Ethereum as well as a smart contract platform, the biggest smart contract platform out there. Well, are there competitors? Will competitors outperform Ethereum? Yes, but how much more risk are you getting with these competitors, right? Versus with Ethereum. So that is where the risk management, that's what investing is about. So, like I said before, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're long-term holds, right? That's digital gold and digital oil right there. If that's what you're investing in, if you have a long-term portfolio, if you have a long-term vision, then that's where the money goes. That's where smart money is doing. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just telling you what smart money is doing with their money and what is going to continue happening. They're going to continue hedging their bets. They know that, currencies, aka fiat currencies, are on the down, right? And they're going to be taking on some more risk with some of these upcoming technologies with the transfer of wealth that is occurring, and they're going to be putting their money into Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the top two. That's where the institutional money is going to be headed. It's been heading that way. So there's no reason to, in my opinion, be bearish or in any kind of way scared of what is going to be the Bitcoin and Ethereum price by the end of this decade. It's going to be nothing but bullish. So next, let's jump into inscriptions. You might be ever hearing this term inscriptions and be like, what's that? Right? What's an inscription? What's a Bitcoin ordinal? It's confusing. It's chaos. It's wild west out there right now. But we're going to cover it here pretty soon. We're going to cover it here right now and just kind of break it down in very basic terms of what it is and how you can understand what's happening. So, inscriptions, just a fad or a real threat to Bitcoin becoming decentralized money? That's definitely something we're going to be covering here as well. But a quick explainer, right? Ordinals are a made up way of tracking sats. If you don't know what a sat is, it is the fraction of a Bitcoin across transactions. So the smallest denomination of a Bitcoin, right? There's 100 million stats in a Bitcoin. Now, I stress it's a made up way of tracking sats. It does not meaningfully impact Bitcoin's fungibility. As explained by creator Casey Rod Armour on my podcast, it's a convention of numbering sats in order they're mined into existence and tracking them across transactions in a first out method. So Bitcoin transactions are made up of inputs and outputs. In the first Satoshi, in the first input is considered to be transferred to the first output of a transaction. There are conventions around which are ordinals, are uncommon, rare, epic, etc. So what's an inscription, right? So now you got a quick explanation of what's happening here. What is an inscription? Well, an inscription, right, by the terms, it's another made-up convention where sats can be inscribed with arbitrary content, whether it's a JPEG or just plain text, right? The Genesis block, right? Satoshi Nakamoto himself inscribed some messages on the very beginning block of Bitcoin and with some text. So they're using that same method with a different kind of coordination to be able to put also JPEGs on it. Now that Taproot has come out, which was an upgrade for Bitcoin after the SegWit back in 2020 or 2021 is when Taproot came out. So they can be sent around and stored in a Bitcoin, right? So you're getting some content on it, a kind of Bitcoin native digital artifact or NFT, right? They're using this to be sent around and stored in Bitcoin unspent transactions output. Now, because they are coded in such a way, that they are written into transaction witnesses, they never enter the UTXO set, which is over here the unspent transaction output. The UTXO set is seen as having heightened consideration for the network because every node, even pruned nodes, must maintain the UTXO set. So I guess it could have been worse. I agree, right? So what's the bull case here? It's simple, right? People are FOMOing into this right now. People are super excited about NFTs on Bitcoin, and everybody wants the blue chip. Everybody wants, to be at the forefront, the frontier of this new adventure of NFTs in Bitcoin. So everyone's trying to get, the first NFTs out there, and it's wild. I was in a Discord. People are buying and selling left and right. There's like only, I believe, one marketplace up. There's only like one or two maybe wallets that can see your NFTs. It is crazy. Everybody's trying to run a node to spin up and inscribe their own NFTs into Bitcoin, and it's just wild. It is a wild experience. But let's continue on here. So to steelman the case a little, the pro ordinals and inscription case would broadly be understood as come for the fun, rich art, stay for the decentralized digital money. Yeah, it could be fun, but with fun comes a lot of risk, and I am very careful with this ordinal stuff. Um, I came out very negative about it at first when I first heard about it. I talked about it on Around the Blockchain. I've changed my mind slightly since, and I am going to be experimenting with the technology. But that being said, I still see the dangers of what could be happening here, and I am worried. So we are going to be covering the concerns as well. You could also agree with some of the critics of Bitcoin, of shitcoin NFTs, and see the way they're arguing that Bitcoin does it better. Bitcoin inscriptions are immutable, ways on chain, simpler and more secure than shitcoin NFTs. Yeah, but like I said, there's some dangers. So we're going to be covering this. Right. The concerns is the reduced accessibility to transact on Bitcoin because of the inscription and NFT degens, creating a transaction backlog and paying a lower fee per real byte because of the witness discount. Reduced ability. So another concern is reduced ability for users to run a full Bitcoin node because of the increased storage and bandwidth requirements. So as they continue uploading more stuff into the Bitcoin, a lot more things are happening. To run a Bitcoin node right now, I think it's like over 500 gigabytes. So you already there need a lot of storage. And if that continues growing and growing, which it will, this could definitely lead to that becoming a problem for the average person of running a node. But of illegal material being recorded into Bitcoin's blockchain that might discourage some users from running a Bitcoin node. That's a big one for me. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that's a big one. It's not only because it's going to discourage people from running a node. The government will at some point step in depending on the activity of this illegal material. If you know what I'm thinking about, you know where I'm going with this. That being said, if we're starting to get some of these illegal materials imprinted onto the Bitcoin network itself, the government at some point could definitely step in. We've already heard about tainted Bitcoin, right? Blood Bitcoin that was being mined in China, and how some of these institutions are tracking it to make sure that none of their Bitcoin is mined with, fuels, and it's not coming from China. And they're already trying to create a tainted versus pure Bitcoin description. Now we're putting these things onto Bitcoin itself and onto the Satoshi themselves. That can quickly escalate to another level of, well, that's tainted because that has illegal activities on it. This isn't tainted. This is good. This is bad. And then the Bitcoin supply starts to get really funky, and you have to be very careful who you're transacting with in case you get sent some tainted Bitcoin, and then maybe exchanges stop accepting that. And, it gets really fast. So I'm just going to demonstrate to you guys how Bitcoin and why are they different than NFTs on, like, let's say, Ethereum, right? So let's use this as an example. This right here is the network, right? On Ethereum, this is the network, right? This is the network. On Ethereum, you create NFTs. You're creating another token that sits on top of the network, right? So this token, are NFTs, and they are separate, but they are on the blockchain, right? That's how Bitcoin, that's how NFTs for Ethereum work. When it comes to Bitcoin, right, you're on the network, you are getting a Satoshi, and you are actually just stamping, right? Let's say the JPEG is just stamped on. So this is the Satoshi, right? You're just stamping the Satoshi, the JPEG onto the Satoshi here, and it just keeps free flowing through the network. There is no other token. There is no other token created above on top of the network itself of Bitcoin and say, well, this is the Bitcoin NFT. It's just sitting on top of the network. It's an extra token. There's no extra token. It is literally stamped, right? You've ever seen a US dollar with a stamp on it that somebody just stamped? That's exactly how the Bitcoin ordinals and NFTs are kind of working. So that is the problem, because if something like illegal materials do get stamped onto the Bitcoin network on these Satoshis, how do you remove that versus, let's say, a token built on top of the Ethereum blockchain can be removed, can be destroyed, can be whatever, and the blockchain continues without any problems. So that is the difference, and that is the double-edged sword when it comes to Bitcoin NFTs. And that is why I'm worried, right? The illegal materials, I've already heard, cannot confirm if this is true or not, but an inscription, somebody uploaded some malicious code, and the inscription was trying to gain access to the owner's webcam on their computer. Is this true? I don't know. Just rumors that I've been hearing. I can foresee that as a software engineer. I can foresee this happening at some point. People upload it, because you can upload text, right? And text can be code. So you could upload this, somebody grabs that Satoshi into their wallet, that code goes live once it's client side, and it can start doing its thing. And how does a regular person that's just trying to buy some Bitcoin NFTs will even know that this is happening, unless you start getting prompted on the computer for some permissions, and things can escalate there from there as well, very, very rapidly. So Bitcoin inscriptions, are they a fad? I don't think so. Are we going through a period of FOMO right now? Yes, we are. Is it going to eventually get better? I also believe so, right? More marketplaces will appear, new methods and strategies on how to create them, how to manage them, and all these things will appear, and it will streamline the process. Right now, like I said, it's wild west. Everyone is just trying to gobble up the lowest, and I believe they call ordinal number of NFTs on the Bitcoin network, right? Sub 10,000, sub 50,000, and the closer to one it is, the more priced, or higher priced it is. So that's a fad, right? That's a trend, trying to be one of the first people that's ever minted on the Bitcoin network, and that's where the value is coming from. Outside of that, none of these NFTs or whatever have any value. They don't have any actual utility. It is just hey, this is cool. I got ordinal number 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it was, on the Bitcoin network, and that's how I got inscription number 5. I'm sorry, not ordinal. I got inscription number 5, or inscription number 10, or inscription number 1,000, right? Sub 10,000 kind of thing, and that's where the value of these NFTs are coming from, mainly right now. Said there's definitely some counter risk, some things that could be happening. So overall, the culture right now is trying this from happening, from escalating out of hand. Bitcoin maxis are not happy about this at all, and I can see their point, right? My point on reason why, besides the dangers of what could be happening, is Bitcoin doesn't need NFTs, really, right? Bitcoin is financial money. It is a financial instrument, and should be its main and only focus, right? We're not trying to be jack of all trades here in the crypto space. When it comes to these blockchains, I think it's better to be a master of one than a jack of all trades, because you can have different blockchains for different purposes. There's no reason to have one blockchain that solves everything. Why? Because that leads to centralization, right? That leads to major centralization. That leads compromises in the code, because to have one thing, you're going to have to trade off something else to gain that other thing. So it's never going to be a properly scaled version of security, scalability, gas fees, transactions, all these things. There's always going to be a dilemma, and there's always something going to be sacrificed for something else. And right now, I think security is at somewhat of danger and regulations as well, because now things start to change if Bitcoin starts to become storage of data versus just money. Could there be pros to that? Yes. Could there be cons? Also, yes. So be very careful. I'm not saying you shouldn't go buy one if you can. And I'm not telling you to go buy one if you can. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just saying what's available out there. Like I said, I will be experimenting with this technology. I'm gonna be creating my own Bitcoin node, spinning it up, figuring out how to make inscriptions, and actually putting some out there just to experiment with the technology. But like I said, I see both sides, and I am more on the conservative side for Bitcoin and along with the Bitcoin maxis, just for that simple reason of this could get very dangerous very quickly, and I don't want that to happen for Bitcoin. So, but I can also see the positive things to it, right? It's a the catch 22. Guys, smash the likes if you haven't smashed the likes. So let's get some likes in here. Let's get some comments. Drop a 1 in the chat right now if you are bullish on Bitcoin NFTs, guys. If you're bullish on Bitcoin NFTs, if you going out there and picking up one of these inscriptions, drop a 1 in the chat. If you're not, drop a 2 and tell me why. Tell me why, yes or no on these things. And talking about NFTs, I want to quickly show you guys this right here. DCA commodities, beans, bullets, and bourbons. They're 0.01 ETH right now. Scan our QR code, go directly to our website, and make sure you mint some of these. We are giving away 5 ETH. Somebody that mints these beans, bullets, and bourbon is going to win 5 full ETH, guys. That's over $5,000, well above that, right? So let's get some minting going on. We're about 50% of the way. The game is going to kick off here pretty soon, and things are going to get very exciting. So make sure you participate and getting involved with the beans, bullets, and bourbon commodity mint for DCA. And if you've never heard of DCA, aka Danger Close Alpha, not dollar cost average, we are the first ever prepper NFT getting you ready for real life situations, right? So you're gonna get real life skills, real life resources, and one of the things that we're giving away are 5 ETH. So make sure you guys get in tune and get involved with that as well, guys. So let's move on here to the next the next article. That's the word. I'm on vacation and I forget words already. That's what happens when you go on vacation, man. You start forgetting things very quickly. Very, very quickly. So another thing is happening here when it comes to regulations, because regulations are going to be a big thing in 2023. I can tell you this from what we're seeing. Paxos halts BUSD minting as SEC reportedly prepares a lawsuit. Crypto brokerage firm Paxos Trust will end its relationship with Binance for the BUSD stablecoin, it said in a statement. So that just another thing that's happening with SEC. The SEC came after Kraken. They came out after Library. Obviously the XRP situation. Now they're coming after Paxos as well. So a lot of things are happening here with Paxos, and just overall, not securities, but overall regulations. And they're dropping the hammer on a lot of these companies. So 2023, I foresee being a big year on a lot of these companies getting either dinged or achieve some type of real life and being propped up by institutions or regulations themselves. But regulations are definitely coming in 2023. One way or another, we're going to be seeing different things happening, and more of this stuff is going to be happening. So guys, smash the likes if you haven't smashed the likes. So you're saying there's still a chance. Yes, Mr. B, there is still a chance. There is still a chance. But this is just something I want to touch over just to quickly show you guys that regulations they're making moves. They're making moves when it comes to regulations. But talking about the SEC, what I really want to talk about is right here. Coinbase will defend staking in court if needed, said by the CEO himself, Brian Armstrong. No, not Ben Armstrong from BitBoy Crypto, Brian Armstrong. looking to gear up for a fight with the SEC over the legality of crypto staking services. So the U.S. crypto exchange has, launched a defense for staking services for the future of the practice was thrown into doubt by Securities Exchange Commission enforcement action against Kraken last week, which we all heard about. So the Coinbase CEO tweeted on Sunday that the company's staking services are not securities, and we will happily defend this in court if needed. Armstrong said it comes after the SEC hit Reveal Exchange Kraken with a $30 million fine for offering its staking as a service without registering it. Just before the announcement, Armstrong warned that he had heard rumors of a wider crackdown on staking down the pipeline. So, with this being said, right here, what are two things that we need to worry about, or what two things that we should be paying attention to? One, centralized entities in the crypto game are going to be feeling the heat. Like I said, in 2023, they're going to be feeling the heat. What does that mean for us? It's actually kind of a positive. It means that there should be at least a proper response to this would be a new level of decentralization. We should be seeing a lot more movement to decentralized exchanges, to more DeFi, right? Decentralized finance. We should be moving away from decentralized entities because most of them will not be allowed to do certain things. And right now, the whole dilemma about staking in the US going away. Yeah, could be, right? Maybe. But they are decentralized, apps out there. There are decentralized forms of doing a lot of this stuff that doesn't really, can be controlled in the way that the government thinks they can. So that being said, the movement towards decentralization and privacy should be a big one that we should be seeing have a massive boost here in this next bull run. If things keep headed this way with regulations and they keep dinging innovation like staking, right? So if they take staking away, what does that lead you with? What does that leave you with? Leaving your money in your bank account, right? Because banks can lend out your money, but you can't. But staking and lending is different, right? And then what's going to happen next? They're going to come after the lending platforms. They're going to come after this other platform for this other thing. Point is, they want to gain control. They want to rein in the control. They want to make sure that these centralized crypto entities are, playing ball with the rules, so that the big banks are the ones in control and not these, because a lot of people are realizing that these centralized exchanges are behaving just like banks, and people treat them just like banks, right? People treat their Coinbase account like a bank account. They just leave their money there. They think it's safe. They think that it's okay, and it's not. So, like I said, two things that should we be seeing is decentralization and more privacy. That's what crypto's all about. That's what crypto's always been about. So I really do hope that we do see a move towards those two things more and more as this bull run gets started here in 2024, right? Moving into 2024. Also, what does this mean for the average person? Well, Coinbase is trying to, win some brownie points with you guys. Coinbase is real that, hey, if we want to stay the people's exchange, right? We need to make a move, even though whether they win or they don't, they know that they're always going to play ball at some level because they have to. But that brought up an interesting tweet that I came across, and I want to share this tweet with you guys. So here, shout out to Cole NFT. You guys can see here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Banks will soon keep your crypto safe. Staking regs is the first phase. Soon, crypto exchanges will have the same regulation as banks. What does that mean? Banks will compete against exchanges to hold your crypto. This helps adoption, in my view, bullish. Well, I actually want to rebuttal this a little bit. I don't believe that the exchanges themselves are going to be competing with the banks in the regards of, I don't think the banks are going to go down without a fight. I think the banks want to be continuously the banks in the crypto space. I think they want to suck that power away from the centralized exchanges, right? They don't want to allow centralized exchanges to be like a bank, and they want these The banks themselves want to be holding your crypto. I think we're going to see a move towards banks like Bank of America and JP Morgan, all these other banks eventually come out with, hey, store your crypto with us, we'll keep it safe, we're FDIC insured, we're this or that, right? And all these little incentives, and they're the ones that might be able to allow staking as a service because they run through all the banking regulations. I think there's going to be a fight. If the centralized exchanges are allowed to win in any kind of capacity against the banks for this and allowed to act as true banks, then the banking system is definitely going to have to put a pep in their step because they're definitely going to be left behind at that point. And is it bullish for adoption? Yes, in the fact that obviously institutions, right, having clarity when it comes to regulations on whether the exchanges are treated as banks or the banks themselves are going to have to be the custodial for these services like staking. Then the institutions know how to behave, they know where to put their money, they know how to wrap that up in a pretty little bow and sell it back to their consumers, right, to their clients with all the money. So yes, that is bullish. Regulation and clarity is bullish for the crypto space. But another thing I wanted to cover here with you guys when it came to the Twitters. Actually, no. I'll leave that for a different day. Different day, different time. Let's keep moving on here, guys. Let's keep moving on here. And I'm going to be taking some questions from the chat here pretty soon. So make sure if you're in the chat right now, if you haven't smashed the likes, exit out of the live, smash the likes, and drop your questions down below. We're going to have a QA section here real soon. 5 minutes of QA for anybody that has any questions about anything we're covering or anything they've heard. So make sure that you are getting prepared and start dropping your questions in the chat. I will be zooming over it and reading them and answering them as well. So you've all seen the thumbnail, you've all seen the title of this video. Bitcoin crash coming tomorrow, Valentine's Day. Why is this being said by the rich dad, poor dad, Robert Kiyosaki himself? Well, according to him, as you can see here, according to him on Valentine's Day, right, it's the perfect timing. Why does he say this? He thinks that there will be a massacre in the financial markets on February 14th, right, which is tomorrow, guys, which is tomorrow. Like 94 years ago, this Valentine's Day will have its actors, but this time in form of inflation data. So this February 14th is the day the latest US consumer price index is released. As a marker for inflation, the index will indicate the future direction of the US Federal Reserve monetary policy and will directly affect the quotations of financial assets, especially the riskiest ones, cryptocurrency. Kiyosaki expects the price of all assets to fall, including his favorite gold, silver, and Bitcoin, but urges people not to panic. However, there's good news as a collapse, right? More opportunities to buy. Like they say, right? Buy when there's blood in the streets. So we will be seeing here tomorrow if this is true. Is this true? Will there be a collapse according to the CPI numbers that are apparently coming out tomorrow? We will see if Robert Kiyosaki is right or wrong. Obviously, we've already seen a little bit of a drop in prices, right? But it wasn't due to that. There was something else due to the. I can actually show you guys here. Let me show you why there was a bit of a drop. So if you guys can, I can share my screen one more time. You guys can see here, there was a death cross, right? The first death cross ever for Bitcoin on the weekly. You can say I see the 50 and the 200 crossed right here at 2,400. And since then, we've been dropping. So first time ever that Bitcoin has a death cross on the weekly. It's had death crosses on the daily and on other time frames, but on the weekly, this is the first time you see this 200 get crossed by the 50, and that is pushing the price down. So is it just this? Is it this and the combination of the CPI numbers tomorrow, which are going to make the drop even further? Or is it just the fact that we are cooling down from such aggressive movement up? Time will tell. Mr. B says, any altcoins you accumulate? I actually do accumulate a quite bit of altcoins. I actually went on a little bit of a shopping spree about a week or two ago. I can tell you right now which ones I was buying and which ones I have not. I have bought this is just on my personal portfolio. I have bought Cardano. You guys have heard me talk about Cardano a lot. I've bought what's the other one? I bought some. No, I didn't buy any of that. I bought some AVAX. I bought some ICP. I bought some Cosmos, and I bought, which is the other one that I bought? There was one or two more that I bought that I can't remember right now. I got to pull up my portfolio. I don't have it on me. Right, give me a second. Actually, yes, I do. It's right here on my phone. Right here on my phone. I actually keep track of it. So give me 2 seconds here, guys. Keep dropping your questions down below in the chat. I will get to it. Let me pull this up, and I can tell you all the ones that I've been buying just recently. So, like I said, bought Cosmos, bought ICP, bought some. No, didn't buy that. Bought some Chainlink, bought some GALA a while ago, bought some Polkadot a while ago. That wasn't the last 2 weeks. That was before then. And yeah, that's been it. And Cardano. Been buying Cardano a lot. Been the biggest thing I've been buying lately. So those are the altcoins that I've been picking up. There are a few other ones that I'm keeping an eye on that I will definitely be picking up as this market shift continues. So those aren't the only ones that I want to buy. There are definitely more out there. Any other questions, guys? Drop your questions down below. Like I said, I'm back this week, so we're good to rock and roll for the rest of the week. Keeper should be back sometime this week if he doesn't become a citizen wherever he's at and decides not to come back. But if he does, then we're gonna have to figure out the stream moving forward from then. But if not, he should be back this week, guys, and everything should be rocking and rolling once again like normal. Make sure that everyone gets ready for tomorrow. We're going to be covering the CPI numbers, right? We're going to be covering what is happening. We're going to be covering if this market is going down or not. And everybody stay tuned for TA Thursdays when we're going to be covering a lot of the technicals on what is happening with the crypto markets in general. And one more time, like I mentioned earlier, guys, beans, bullets, and bourbons, this is the way you're going to be winning 5 ETH. 5 whole ETH. Someone is going to win 5 whole ETH. Scan the QR code, go to our website, start minting some of these NFTs. We are about 50% of the way there. The game is going to kick off. You're going to be joining a faction. You're going to be part of the first ever Prepper NFT community. Make sure you get involved. Make sure you try to go out there and make some money on these 5 ETH competition. I mean, who else is giving out 5 ETH right now? Kenton says, you're going to be a dad again? Yes, sir. Real soon here in a couple of months. My wife will be giving birth again, and it's going to be interesting. Let me tell you. It's going to be interesting. But someone scanned the QR code. Thank you, sir, for scanning the QR code, whoever you were. Make sure you mint some beans, bullets, and bourbons. We will catch you in the Discord. You will get joined into a faction. You're going to get rocking and rolling with this game as the game goes on. And maybe you are the lucky winner, right? The lucky winner of the 5 ETH. You only need one to participate, but obviously the more you hold, the more likely your chances of winning, as there are different power-ups that help you along the way throughout this competition to make sure that you are the 5 ETH winner. So guys, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for coming in here for another episode of Debate Crypto. And like always, question everything, trust nothing, and until next time, Haro Lakita. See you guys.